Hello and welcome back to British English with me, Ali. In today's video, I'm going to be teaching you about some commonly used Japanese phrases and giving you the translations in British English. Now, perhaps the translations are not completely word for word, but I'm going to be giving you the ways that sound most natural in British English. Before we get started with the first useful word, please do remember to give this video a like and subscribe to this channel if you're interested to enhance your British English. Let's get started. The first phrase or word that I want to share today is what you might say if you've gone back to your hometown where you grew up as a child. You have a strong sense of nostalgia for the places or the people that you see. In Japanese, you might say natsukashi, but in British English, we would express this by saying, good times. It's a shortened version of those were good times, but as a very easy and natural response, you might just say good times. Or fond memories. Those were fond memories. The next word is something that you might use when you finished your dinner, but you know that there's some delicious dessert waiting for you in the fridge. This is a very useful word for anyone that has a sweet tooth, aka you enjoy sweet foods, and this word is betsubara. In English, we might want to say that although we are satisfied with our main course, there is always a little bit of room for dessert. I like to call it my dessert stomach. So my main dinner stomach is full, but I'm always ready for some dessert. I've got some space in my dessert tummy, and I'm ready for my cake or mochi or whatever you want to enjoy. As such, I would say that someone with a sweet tooth is someone who enjoys dessert, and if you're hankering for some delicious dessert after you've finished your main meal, you can say that your dessert tummy is not satisfied, or you always have room for dessert. The next phrase or word could be useful if you were walking outside and you slipped over and fell on the ground. Ooh, hazakashi. In English, we can say, how embarrassing. And this phrase can be used for both situations and emotions. So in that example that I just gave you, walking, you fall, and you can say about yourself, oh, how embarrassing. However, someone watching you fall over, perhaps they might think, oh, how embarrassing. So we can say this about situations or feelings, or even if we're telling a story in which the person was embarrassed, we can say, how embarrassing. The next phrase is something that you might hear quite a lot if you're living in Japan, and this is chotomate. So in English, we'd say, just a sec. Sec is an abbreviated form of second, and the just, as I have mentioned in previous videos, is a British English technique that we use to imply that we're not going to take up too much time, we're not going to take too long, or that something won't involve too much effort. It's a way of just minimizing the sound of something and making it less invasive or impactful. Going back to chotomate, just a sec. If you want to be a little bit more formal, you can say, please wait a moment. But in more natural conversation, we'd say, just a sec. Oh, someone's calling me, just a sec, and take the phone call. Another very commonly used phrase in Japanese is ganbatte. The best way to express this in English is to say, go for it, or you can do it. Ganbatte in both English and Japanese is just a way to encourage someone to try their best, or reminding them, supporting them, encouraging the person that they can do it. As a side note, if you want to express that you will do your best, ganbarimasu, we can say, I'll do my best, or I'll try my best. It's showing the desire to reach one's goals and do one's best. I do sometimes hear people say, let's fight. I wouldn't say that that's what we use in British English. That has more aggressive connotations. The best way to say gambarimasu or gambate would be to express the desire to do one's best. The next phrase in Japanese is shoganai. I often hear this translated into it cannot be helped. And whilst that might indeed be the word-for-word translation, I would say that a more natural translation for shoganai is there's nothing you can do. There's nothing we can do about it. So for example, you go into a store and they've run out of the item that you want. Well, there's nothing we can do about it. A slightly shortened version of that can be a question form, and you can say, what can you do? It's a way of showing that the situation is outside of your control and there's actually nothing that we can do. So we might say to the other person in a very sort of casual setting, what can you do? This is a word that you will most definitely use to express a liking or an interest in something. And this word in Japanese is ine. So you might see an item that you really like and say, oh, ine. Or if someone's going on a beautiful holiday and they tell you about the story, you think, oh, ine. In British English, we could say, oh, that's great. Said in a feeling way, not just like, that is great. You know, it's more about, oh, wow. It's a mixture of being a little bit maybe envious or in awe of the situation. Oh, that holiday sounds so good. I wish it were me. It's more about showing appreciation for that holiday or for that item. Oh, that's great. Very simply, you could say, oh, nice. That's a very easy sort of way to express ine. Slightly linked to ine is kawaii. Now, this is, of course, a very, very commonly used word, and I hear it very often. For example, if I'm going shopping and I'm surrounded by female members of the Japanese society. They love to express their interest in a dress, for example, and they might say, oh, kawaii. Now, kawaii directly translates as cute, but in British English, as I've said before, we don't really use the word cute. Instead, we'd say lovely. Oh, that dress is lovely. Similarly, we like to use the word gorgeous. Now, I know in Japanese, gorgeous means more decadent, more opulent, more sophisticated, such as a gorgeous restaurant, which serves fantastic food at high prices. However, in British English, we tend to use gorgeous with a softer feeling. So we might say that a little baby who is smiling at you is so gorgeous. Or if somebody gives you a gift, wow, it's so gorgeous. Gorgeous does not have a connection with being very expensive or decadent. It does mean a slightly different thing in British English, but it would be a good way to say kawaii. Oh, that dress is gorgeous. Oh, that dress is lovely. The last word, or should I say sound, of today is again something that is commonly used among Japanese women, and this sound is eh. This might be used when you hear some very interesting news, or perhaps you just want to show your interest. And making this noise kind of shows the other person that you are listening, that you're interested in their story, and that you have a level of surprise about the information that you've just heard. So in British English, instead of making this noise, we would say, really? In that tone, really? Be careful, because if you say it slightly differently, it can have a different nuance. So saying really with a rising end shows that you don't believe, as opposed to saying really, which shows that you're not very interested or you don't believe them again. Instead, we want to say really. If you rise in the middle, it's more like saying, huh, wow, interesting. So really is a very useful word and can be used in many different contexts. But in order to show interest in someone's story or conversation, you're going to want to say really. Well, thank you so much for joining me in this lesson today. I really do hope that these phrases helped you. Please do comment in the comment section below if you have any questions or any videos that you would like me to make to help further your British English studies. Thank you so much for joining me, and until next time, bye-bye.